The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as I finished charting my last patient. It was 3 a.m, and the emergency room had finally quieted down after a chaotic evening. I had been working night shifts at Memorial Hospital for 8 years, and I thought I had seen everything. The automatic doors burst open. 2 police officers rushed in, struggling with a man on a gurney. He was covered in blood, thrashing violently against the restraints. "Get your hands off me!" he roared, his voice raw with pain and fury. His eyes were wild, scanning the room like a trapped animal. I moved closer, my training kicking in automatically. "Sir, we need to help you. You're losing blood." He jerked away from my touch, his muscles tensing. "Don't touch me! I said don't touch me!" The officers looked exhausted. "Found him in an alley on 5th Street, multiple gunshot wounds. He's been fighting us the whole way." I glanced at the wounds visible through his torn shirt. 3 entry points. Clean and precise. Something about them made me pause. The pattern looked familiar in a way that made my stomach tighten. If this story has hooked you so far, subscribe to the channel now, because what comes next will surprise you even more. I pulled on fresh gloves and approached cautiously. "I'm Laura. I'm going to examine your injuries. The more you fight, the worse this gets." He glared at me, jaw clenched, but stopped thrashing. His breathing was labored, shallow. I carefully cut away his shirt, revealing the full extent of his wounds. That's when I saw it clearly. The entry wounds formed a triangular pattern across his right shoulder and upper chest. The edges were too clean, the spacing too deliberate. This wasn't random street violence. I had seen this before. My mind flashed back to another time, another place. 7 years ago, I had volunteered with Doctors Without Borders in a conflict zone. I spent 9 months treating casualties in a makeshift field hospital. I learned to recognize different weapons, different tactics, different signatures. These wounds told a story. They were from a high-caliber rifle, fired from distance, by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. But here's what made my blood run cold. The shots were placed to incapacitate, not to kill. Whoever shot this man wanted him alive, but unable to run. Thank you for staying with me this far. This shows you feel the same way I felt when I lived all of this. So subscribe and hit the bell, because what comes now changes everything. I continued my assessment, keeping my expression neutral. The patient watched me with intensity that was unnerving. His eyes weren't clouded with shock like most trauma patients. They were calculating, aware. "What's your name?" I asked quietly. "Doesn't matter. It matters to me. I need to call you something." He hesitated. "Marcus." I nodded, carefully cleaning the wounds. My mind was racing. The police report said they found him in an alley, but these injuries were at least 4 hours old based on the clotting. He hadn't been shot where they found him. Marcus had been on the move, wounded, for hours. Why? I thought back to my time overseas. I remembered a young soldier who taught me about ballistics while I stitched his leg. He explained how military snipers were trained to think strategically, to use precise shots for specific purposes. He showed me photographs of wound patterns from different scenarios. The pattern on Marcus's body matched what they called a containment protocol. It was designed to stop someone from escaping while keeping them conscious for interrogation. My hands steadied as I worked, but my heart was pounding. Who was this man? And who had shot him with military precision in the middle of our city? I excused myself to grab more supplies, pulling the attending physician aside. Dr. Chen looked exhausted. "What have we got?" 3 gunshot wounds, stable vitals, but something's off. The wound pattern is too precise. This wasn't a robbery or random violence. He frowned. "You thinking professional hit? Maybe. Or something else. Has anyone run his fingerprints? Police are working on it." I returned to Marcus, starting an IV line. He barely flinched. Most people would be crying, begging for pain medication. He just stared at the ceiling, his jaw working. "You're handling this better than most," I said carefully. "I've had worse." "Where?" His eyes met mine, and for a moment, I saw something flicker. Recognition, maybe, or respect. "Afghanistan. 2 tours. You've seen combat wounds before. I can tell by the way you're not freaking out." I kept my voice steady. "I volunteered in a field hospital. Different war, same wounds." He almost smiled. "Figures. That's why you noticed." "Noticed what?" "The pattern. You know this wasn't some street punk with a pistol." Before I could respond, I noticed movement outside the glass doors. 2 men in dark suits, standing by a black sedan, watching the emergency room entrance. "Now I want to hear from you. Where are you watching this story from? Write it down in the comments." It's incredible to see people from so many places following stories like this. I turned back to Marcus, my pulse quickening. "Those men outside, are they here for you?" His expression hardened. "You need to get away from me. Now. I'm not going anywhere. I'm your nurse. You don't understand. They're not here to rescue me. They're here to finish what they started. My training told me to call security, to alert the police, but something deeper, some instinct honed in war zones where trust meant survival, told me to listen. Who are they? Marcus looked at me for a long moment, as if deciding whether I could handle the truth. I used to work for people who don't accept resignations. I saw things I wasn't supposed to see. I tried to walk away 3 months ago. You're a sniper. It wasn't a question. Was. Now I'm a target. I glanced back at the doors. The men hadn't moved, but one was speaking into a phone. The police officers who brought Marcus in were gone, called away to another scene. The ER was understaffed tonight. Just me, Dr. Chen, who was in surgery, and 2 other nurses handling a cardiac emergency in the next wing. How long until they move? Depends on their orders. Could be minutes, could be hours. They're patient. I made a decision that went against every protocol I knew. I pulled the privacy curtain around his bed, blocking the view from outside. My hands moved on autopilot, treating his wounds while my mind raced through impossible options. Every oath I took as a nurse demanded I report this, follow procedure, let authorities handle it. But which authorities? Marcus claimed people in power wanted him dead. The shots that hit you, I said quietly, they were meant to slow you down, not kill you. Why? Because they need information. Location of files, names, evidence. They can't get that from a corpse, and you won't give it to them. I can't. Too many innocent people would die. I thought about my daughter at home, sleeping safely. I thought about the soldier who taught me about ballistics, who died 3 days after our conversation when his convoy hit an IED. I thought about all the impossible choices I had made in that field hospital, deciding who to treat first, who might survive, who was too far gone. This felt the same. No good options, only the least terrible one. I need to know something, I said, looking directly at him. Are you the good guy or the bad guy here? Marcus's laugh was bitter. I've done things that would keep you up at night, but what they're planning, it's worse. Chemical weapons sold to the highest bidder. I have proof. The cardiac monitor next door started alarming. I heard running footsteps as staff rushed to respond. The distraction gave us maybe 5 minutes. Marcus grabbed my wrist, his grip surprisingly strong for someone who had lost so much blood. Listen carefully. There's a storage unit in Riverside, number 217. The key is taped under the rear bumper of my truck. Navy blue Ford, parked 2 blocks from where they found me. Why are you telling me this? Because if they take me, someone needs to know. Someone needs to get that evidence to the right people. And who are the right people? He rattled off a name I recognized from news reports. A senator known for military oversight and anti-corruption investigations. How do I know you're telling the truth? You don't, but you saw those wounds. You know what they mean. You've seen what happens when powerful people operate without oversight. I had. In that field hospital, we treated civilians caught in crossfire, children injured by weapons that should never have been used. The attending who ran our unit used to say that sometimes the hardest part of medicine wasn't treating the injury, but understanding the system that caused it. The alarm next door stopped. I heard voices in the hallway. They're coming, Marcus said. Last chance to walk away. Instead, I reached for my phone, not to call security, to take a photo of the storage unit information he had scribbled on the back of my glove wrapper. Dr. Chen appeared at the curtain. Laura, we need you in trauma too. I nodded, tucking my phone away. As I started to leave, Marcus spoke one more time. Whatever happens, don't let them take me out of this hospital alive. They won't risk exposure by doing it here. But once I'm in a vehicle, I'm gone. I stepped out of the curtain and nearly collided with one of the men from outside. Up close, I could see the bulge of a shoulder holster under his jacket. I'm Special Agent Morrison, FBI. He flashed credentials that looked official. We need to transport your patient for questioning regarding a federal investigation. He's not stable for transport. Multiple gunshot wounds, potential internal bleeding. He needs surgery. We have medical personnel standing by. Dr. Chen joined us, wiping his hands. What's going on? Agent Morrison repeated his request. Chen looked uncertain. I'd need to see a warrant or court order. This is a matter of national security. Every minute counts. I made eye contact with Chen, trying to communicate urgency without words. He caught something in my expression. I'm sorry, but medical protocols are clear. The patient stays until he's stabilized. You're welcome to post guards, but he's not leaving this facility in his current condition. Morrison's jaw tightened. He pulled out his phone, stepping away to make a call. Chen turned to me. What's really going on? I pulled Chen into the medication room, speaking quickly. Those aren't FBI agents. Marcus claims he has evidence of weapons trafficking. People want him dead before he can talk. Laura, do you hear yourself? This sounds like a conspiracy theory. Look at his wounds. Look at how they're behaving. When did FBI agents ever stand outside before identifying themselves? Chen ran his hand through his hair. If you're right and we interfere, we could be charged with obstruction. If you're wrong and he's a criminal, we're helping him escape justice. And if I'm right and we hand him over, we're accomplices to murder. The door opened. Morrison stood there with hospital security and our nursing supervisor. We have authorization from the hospital administrator to transport the patient. You're relieved of duty, effective immediately. quietly. My supervisor looked uncomfortable. "Laura, I need you to step aside. This is beyond our pay grade." I thought about my daughter again. I thought about the young soldier. I thought about all the times I had followed orders, trusted the system, believed that doing the right thing meant following the rules. Marcus was right about one thing. I had seen what happens when people look away, when everyone assumes someone else will handle it. The field hospital burned down 2 weeks after I left because local authorities, paid off by warlords, blocked UN protection. I stepped aside and watched them wheel Marcus out. His eyes found mine as they passed. No anger, just acceptance. The doors closed behind them. Chen touched my shoulder. "You did what you could, but had I?" I pulled out my phone, looking at the photo of the storage unit information. One choice remained. I could delete it, go home, pretend this never happened. Or I could take what Marcus gave me and trust that somewhere in this system, someone still cared about truth. I made the call. 3 days later, federal marshals raided the storage unit. They found documents, recordings, evidence of a conspiracy that reached into defense contractors and government agencies. Marcus testified from protective custody. 14 people were indicted. I was questioned, investigated, nearly lost my license for violating patient confidentiality protocols. But the Senator Marcus named personally thanked me. The evidence I helped preserve prevented weapons from reaching 3 different conflict zones. I still work night shifts. I still treat gunshot victims. But I learned something that night about the weight of choices, about the difference between following rules and doing what's right. Sometimes they're the same thing, sometimes they're not, and you have to live with whichever path you choose. And if you stayed with me until this final moment, write the word courage to prove you heard the whole story, and to show that you too would have the strength to make the impossible choice when it matters most.